Hi, I'm Jennifer. This is Unearthed Relics, and as you might have guessed by my surroundings, this week I am celebrating Christmas in July. So I couldn't think of a better place to do that than my Christmas room, which is really a closet, but I do use it as a spot where I can store some of my Christmas items year round and keep those on display. I also have a small little twin-size bed stuffed in here, so it doubles as a guest room when I have a need for overflow space when we have company that comes. So it's a very, very multi-purpose room. In any case, when I did my thrifting this week, because it was Christmas in July, I thought it was very appropriate that was the sack that I found. I always look for bags because I'm able to repurpose those throughout the year as well. But this one seemed particularly appropriate given that it was Christmas in July this week, and I love Disney. So let's go ahead and see what I have discovered this week. I want to start with this cool set of things. They didn't come like this, obviously. I've got them kind of stuffed down in here, but I found the box. It looked like that was a cheese box, so maybe something like a Velveeta. It does say craft, so that is very, very likely, although it says cream cheese with relish, so I guess that wouldn't be Velveeta. In any case, I thought that was cool and definitely older because I can't, like in my lifetime, remember craft cheese ever coming in a box like that. So, and maybe that's something that just went to the grocery store. Even that though, I mean, it's definitely an older box, so I thought that was a cool find in and of itself. And then I've just kind of assembled some of the different ephemera and different things that I have found in there, including a set of old photographs. And it always makes me a little sad when I see a large set of family photos that have been discarded, especially in this case because they were really spread out all over a bin. But I am happy to rescue them. And I'm also happy if somebody sees something and they were donated accidentally. I do see messages about those kinds of accidental donations from time to time on different message boards. If you see people that you recognize in these and they were donated accidentally, reach out in the comments and I will be happy to get those back to someone if that's the case, because obviously that's the person on the planet who's going to cherish them most. Aside from that though, like once things go through the outlet, they tend to be thrown away if they're not things that can be shipped to other places, and I don't think photographs would count in that category. So I'm glad that they didn't end up in a landfill. That being said, there were some really cool ones in there. They look like they range in kind of the time frame from maybe like the late 30s. There's some like industrial things in there, some just cool people. I think it's like pretty Easter dress there. I thought this was a really cool one, like a majorette sort of look. So I think I'll have some fun finding different uses for those. There was even a cabinet card. I just found that one older picture. That was cool that it had come from Brazil, Indiana. I don't know that I've ever seen a cabinet card from Brazil, Indiana, but there were photographers all over the place. So I'm a little bit bummed that it's so torn up in the back, but it is what it is. But there were just some really cool photographs of different sizes from different eras. So that was fun. I found a bunch of these playing cards that kind of all have that same image, but I think that's really cute too. And I am happy, like if this is a little design you like, put a comment in. And if you're from the US, I send messages and little goodies to people from time to time. So I'm going to put these in my goodie stash and maybe send out some fun freebies to folks over the course of this coming month. I found a couple cards, not very many, but those were two little greenie cards that I found. I like the little elf on that one. I found some grade cards, and I think those will be nice for those following and who had watched, I think it was last week, I showed a sneak peek of the back to school ephemera packets that I'm putting together. So I think those are going to go right into that, along with a graduation announcement that I found from the 80s. Little Miro cooking cookbook that definitely looks to be a little bit vintage. This Norwegian language booklet. And it looks like that was maybe military. Like all of the illustrations show people who are kind of in military attire. And so I'm assuming, let me see a little picture like that. I'm assuming that that might have been the case, that this was given out to folks who might have been stationed in Norway. In any case, it's great because it's got these wonderful phonetic pronunciation guides in addition to the Norwegian spelling. So it's actually a really handy little book. So I don't know if I'll pull that one apart and use it for different things, or actually try to learn a few Norwegian words. The other thing that I found that was really cool was a set of these 45s. And as I was kind of looking through, I started to realize, I mean, I always look for tunes that I know or like, as well as cool looking 45s. But the thing that jumped out, there were these little pieces of paper, and it was very readily apparent once I started looking at it. It's like, oh, these are square dancing calls. And then obviously I think these are the records that went with them. So like this is Daisy a Day, and it matches the record Daisy a Day here. This one's even signed, so I'm going to try to figure out who that's signed by, whether that's the person who performed it, or maybe the person who had put together the different calls that went with that. I think that's really fun. I'm going to stick some of those on the record player here in just a minute, and use that for some crafting inspiration. But I thought that was a really fun find, and the fact that it had those calls with it, I think makes the records all the more fun and cool. And I know that those would probably be appreciated by someone somewhere for sure. So those got rescued from the bins as well. I found a bag of Scrabble tiles, the old wooden Scrabble tiles. So I always grab those when I see them. In terms of other records, I thought this was really cool. This is Sesame Street. It's a variety of different songs, including like the Sesame Street theme, obviously. People in Your Neighborhood, that's an oldie but a goodie as well, and the Rubber Ducky song. Anyway, it was the original cast, so I thought this was a really cool record as well. It says it's from 1974. Some fun bird prints that came from a little magazine. These lovelies are going to feel right at home in this room. I thought these were really kind of interesting. I've never seen that style. The one said that they were made in Japan. I thought it kind of had like sort of like, like the original Cabbage Patch dolls that people used to make, or the ones that were made with like pantyhose for the faces. Anyway, it's got that kind of look. So I didn't really like the style of the Santa, but then I found the little elf and I really liked the elf. So I went ahead and went back over and tried to find the Santa. I don't think they were actually a pair, because they've got slightly different fabric and everything, but they do look cute together. So I got both of those. I got another little Tupperware. I had found a kind of golden or yellow, but that 70s gold color with that same design on it a couple weeks ago, and had given those to my sister. So I'm going to give this one as well. She's able to use these in her craft room for scissors and different kinds of stashes of things. So I'm happy to pass that one along. But hiding down in there, a little porcelain dolly. That one looks to actually be a little bit older. So I think that's kind of cool. And then some little trim. Thought that was really cool. That'll be fun to use in a junk journal. And so will these cute little daisies. I always grab like these laser labels when I find them, because these are super expensive. If you've ever had to go to like Office Depot or Staples to buy these, they're crazy expensive, and they work just as well when you find them at the Goodwill outlet. So that will also help to facilitate some freebie mailers maybe in the coming month. So definitely put a note down in comments or message me, and I'd be happy to get you added to my mailing list. And these were just those little scratch off kind of decals, and I thought those would be fun for junk journaling as well. So those are all of my finds from this week. Let's get to crafting.
Four ladies chain, 3/4 round there, whirl away and circle left. I think of you every morning, night and noon. Left out a man, now weave the ring you do. Oh, I tell you how much I love you. Dose I do and promenade, the very first thing every morning, and the last thing every night.
All right, so I think what I've decided to do is craft using some of the Square Dance calling sheets, and I had this record sleeve. There wasn't a record that went with it, but I've had this for a while. I love the image here, and I really like the orange and blue kind of color. In any case, I'm going to use some flinch cards that I found recently. I thought the colors kind of matched in really nicely with those, and I'm going to call these calling cards in kind of like a play on the old, I guess that was Victorian era practice of, you know, leaving a calling card when you'd go to visit someone. But these are going to be cards that I am embellishing with call sheets for the Square Dance records that I had found. So let's get crafting.